So like monthly friends right now is definitely for like toilets like current number of people to be not planning to for like toilet that with that happens that for toilet like the guy himself as like Jonas Wellman is without like the bodyguard but like Jonas Wellman finding out about it. This is like driving the scenario that I'm so like I'm looking for like toilet usually like part of this like mission like I'm something toilet with that with without like Jonas Wellman's like bodyguard finding out like infiltrating into Jonas Wellman's home and definitely like putting Jonas Wellman into like sleep like state with that itself and basically like and like that time interval between with like Jonas Wellman in his falling asleep and that sign before which like Jonas Wellman to be waking up like in between that time for like the twilight to that actually make he's Jonas going to protect or like twilight to that adapt eventually it's like make it very understand but yeah hoping protect for like twilight to that make a student that is like perfectly on today so like this type of very understanding for like Jonas Wellman that they having a speech different schedule and like understands it's like the in different other parameters which is like the parameter like how different twilight violent like taking the type of like Jonas Wellness that aspects that and making that speech and twilight doing it everything so that speech to like basically to that reason of like the difference between like standard and the chalice through that speech like the case of like Jonas Wellness like in this scenario that and that's like how twilight would be feeling that of like something getting for like no exactly before like the speech like Jonas Wellman Twilight was like infiltrating into McDonald's well when in like the disguise of that a way was like was an out setup. So that Twilight in like the disguise of like a way of like the enter like the room of that Jonas Millman and like totally so the point for like Twilight was like uh adding that to like the food to that only Jonas Millman falls asleep like liver so definitely that way Twilight serving check the food and like leave for us like that. And definitely by now that Twilight might have done some more study about like Jonathan or the active Jonathan and like the active Jonathan as might be yeah, he might not at all want any of the black bodyguard to like end of this episode. They only stand for the black bodyguard to only stand outside of the strictly might be along the lines of that attack of Black Johnson and like Twilight might be aware of like a cosmetic item like that way like Twilight taking advantage of that see that most likely end up in to like the Romans like weapons so I think that it was like very close to like Johnson and and without the story delay point of the match Twilight up serving like the lab return from like Johnson and so in like the way the guys nature and that after like losing that Twilight quickly like encouraging back to like to their filter to like Jonas Wellman so either through like the window or through like the balcony through like and through while it is that absolute just like integrating like Jonas Wellman so and to take the thing that actually book guys and face of like Jonas Wellman and Twilight like exiting from like Jonas Wellman like the guys of like Jonas Wellman and form like each is learning and that way like Twilight things like the scenario that I'm doing and so and probably looking for like Twilight at that time that having like that and needs with and fight kind of task of like basically having to like failure more to failure piece which will create that absolute impact to be some of like pressure between that and the self but also Twilight having to like end the speech and make it back to like Jonas Wellman before that Jonas Wellman like that with Jonathan mentioned like the along the lines of like the top like and toilet executing that from like that mission like perfectly and basically back to like Jonathan mentioned and definitely before like John right before like Jonathan wakes up like I'm so different toilet like just barely making it and basically like with that active just like sleeping out with that active step either through like the window or like through the balcony like with that active step and toilets it's like where like putting on like Johnson and like Johnson the scenario can be like that when like Johnson celebrating up and like Johnson at that point checking the time and basically Johnson that would be like would be only sorry at that point like and you think that is weekend at like only fallen asleep and carelessly fallen asleep and basically has missed the like speech but like I'm looking for at that point, self like Jonas Wellman, he had received power and just like that. that due to congratulating that JonasWellman about that speech is being such like such speech like JonasWellman that point political living and there's we JonasWellman at that point like economy also like countries that to that what happened that is that while he tell the JonasWellman like not bring into that to the doubt like as to like what happened at the speech is like they get good for now that I'm looking at and yeah, like I'm looking like JonasWellman and the computers can would be that probably the works of the land being framed for like the name and that JonasWellman like deciding to like go along with it and basically take the for like toilets please without that JonasWellman knowing who is for that like enjoy that JonasWellman taking the credit for it's like doing the finale that I'm looking at like and that way until the thing that was fight Twilight that mission being such an absolute perfect thing would like have anything more finding out about like Twilight that interpret like the guys of like the other things get faces in our like particular direction of thing. So okay that and if you know frame the writers that gone for my setting is the channel is problem my family is for like and the piece doing that person and the person and get the movie based the thing and Twilight might have reading that the tablets might have created that a great number of that posters that containing false news about that framing JonasWellman as like the villain person and might have spread that step to spread a lot of the posters all across like Australia might be that the case definitely don't potential so that definitely the ones who create like the false tablets might have certainly found for this that great number of that false payment of posters that framing that Johnson meant as the university gap when that the people behind that the hackers might have found it interesting and might have realistically took all those like information like posters or like might have created taking those pictures of like those that poster which like Twilight might have created and they might have added that to that great number of the but might have been and might have stuck the tablets might have been like one might have handled the minimum frame so like they able to find like the tablet and person might have already reached that the status but the tablets containing like the posters like that posters like Twilight might have created might have reached like the status and just might be like the reason for like the person just so was country to that the Muslims the minimum frame so then that we are picturing that 100% that JonasWellman might have seen that that justice so supposed to and like that we have to like how JonasWellman might have reacted might have been in an extremely confident and rebellious manner might be like that the reason they break it. So that they have like JonasWellman totally deciding to like rebel against like not feeling fancy due to some always been surrounded by the black bodyguards and JonasWellman might have instead accept the right to learn rebel against that process. Just so by delivering was like absolute the best performance on like the incoming overall performance and like the steps. If they are like something like Lawrence taking the decision like the game that is real. That way to like prove this like the kind of person he is to the styles with the alliance and for the cutting like the different concern and taking stuff new and great. And that way like I like and that like to like do that the sort of like I'm for the cutting uh, and love going along with that toilet like and love doing it up and down the time toilet but like the hands are up and going along with that toilet to the extent of the toilet to that the stand for like the as like security step security for like Johnson like the I'd like to talk about some performance things like scenario so certainly especially with like toilet uh, conveying like the backstory have only 3 years of experience currently understanding like the hands up and going to make the toilet so we get it that way uh, while like the production was able to be like for 3 years exactly while like the performance of like Johnson and will be taking place and like the selling that are totally for like the so team from like the crowd like basically most likely other things to date of person and it's like things with another and the player will find like the score might not be that person might not be done by a single person but like the score might be for the group that's interior so like the first tabloid news from like JonasWellman might have won extremely entry and might have found like an entire series of that great number of group of that individuals wanting to that bring down JonasWellman might be that with like a from the crowd like and that great number of like individuals like athletic to like take out the JonasWellman and then elect them to present like the source of the to like we have like the number of the big enough that page the like not even like the bodyguards of like JonasWellman who is like 50% lactose by to like the still well when the movie performance was kind of a like still not even like the boy that being able to like stop land in the just so team is like the snarl that in the movie but can feel like at that point the game like Twilight shade they're attempting to like stop the end of sleep not even Twilight being able to like the due to that Twilight having moved 2 years of medics to the government that not even Twilight at that point being able to like stop it's like so not that and at that point I'm like one of like the so uh, into the like and making it towards that uh, way into that into making it towards that zone so much like what now so like by then I'm looking like Twilight to be having that aspect in Twilight to be and they having that actual experience and people like were by then like finding out about like one of like the example in which like Twilight like poster combines and like Twilight like to create like being added to like the post of to that timeline and that timeline like making towards like the spells like about this news like Twilight like learning of like by when it's like was not that developed so that Twilight will be able to feel that absolutely get that like Twilight will be coming and that one to like make ensure like safety like Salman of Stephanie Wilfred. Yet like I'm putting Twilight still to be like Twilight that feeling like Twilight still failing to like stop like one of the so then probably make finally making it towards like Edward Salman and at that point I'm like Twilight to be much of a feeling that over that really Twilight can't save Thomas Salman at this point in the Twilight will be feeling. But like at that very last second, I'm just like the handler managed to feel that just barely managed to like saving Johnson managed like the now that one. Yeah, taking all this like the handler taking significant injury like in the scenario that I'm about to I'm not to play, but so like that way like like the just the sword like it's that the force struggling and the bodyguard circle as like like the kind of fucking the range to making the managing barely managing like stop like just the sword I'm thinking of also like things of now that and even seeing that the injury of that the hands are like whatever being even more objective. It's like in the scenario that I'm going to get today. Yes, so that the game really get about famous for that to be more than one thing they real the online outside like so like that just the short for might be the fact that if you do the friends so like the friend of the that uh right now for that agent I'd like to talk about that was the cancer and topic that security guard like scenario that I'm but like I'm thinking that him as well as that and as well as for like that or like realizing the about like the second that second individual who would be attempting to like take out John that it's another reference then so the topic for like the second individual most likely being that the very exact person had like the kebab shop it's like not the agent like and like other person might be that the second individual who might be the part of like the plans to like take out like John Spellman might be like that to the population range. Yes, so that's the current thing like the because like all of my career theories and predictions are also based on like the assumption that like the ancient of the 2 years of experience like and the assumption that he is like Twilight and like everything that's like happening is like so John situation or being in like the half being like the backstory of like uh, that of like Twilight after like 2 years after like joining the Black Ireland. Also like the flame on preemption right now certainly for like and I feel like if we get bored and go to instead of like waiting for like the next bus like I'm probably putting and I'm deciding to by herself to walk back all the way back home. It's like there's a scenario that I'm visible different. So like that way that I am walking back home and one half way like I'm putting that headless crush that like I'm calm like I'm like she will be driving that home like I'm putting that her running her spotting Aryan or by herself like walking home. It's like with another there. So like headless crush that I'm telling Aryan to like get. and and basically that like the scenario that I'm looking at. So definitely at that point I'm totally right. And Slack decided to like take any kind of step to the scenario that I'm looking at. Then at that point like Anya the conversation like between like Slack and Anya like and the different like being totally awkward with like Anya taking that absolute fear of like the one of like Anya saying something that might trigger or like disappoint like Slack and was like to give another support to like kind of like along the kinds of like the fear that kind of might be having. It's like scenarios that so like that way like the conversation be within the big effort and would give it bring like midway like I'm just bring like Slack stopping like a car and like a pet shop. So like at that point I probably put into like Slack telling Anya that it should provide that and basically yeah Anya staying like when she white Slack would be like heading to the best of it. So that at that point I'm considering that Anya can they get tired of like waiting and like Slack still won't be running back with like the scenario that I'm so like at that point like Anya getting on the car basically going up to certainly going up to like the pet shop and they are like I'm point like Anya for making whenever the first scene that they told me that so they told me nothing extremely in like a loving manner towards like the section at like the pet shop where like the really cat like the scenario that so like at that point I not only seeing the spying on that flag and seeing how that flag is like extremely obsessed with like cats and basically that flag totally being confused and like not being able to like the generational cat that is from the shop and not being able to like respond to like to be along the lines like I never be while fighting over like that I'm the for it. So at that point I'm putting like I'm getting that has the idea that give me that like cancer like if we are looking for like two seconds in the scenario probably that scenario very much so like I have to be deciding to get a can just so that like to get like that they could getting a pet cat to that get the like earn the liking of like flag and that way to create like a public to turning around both the other lines like I would be at that point forming an idea in the kind of mind like looking out of that episode. So the player was going like that way and you have to make it running back to like the car and then like at that point the guitar is really like drag up with something like one cat is like now there and that's also the next of like at that point like the fact that like would be going until the would be uh, it is straight away lighting Slack, but like straight away will be straight away also it's lighting Anya's like when the tsunami that up the only for it. So like Anya don't have to best to like run the like of like the cat, but like I'm going like the cat actually won't be having it and will be not more like Anya, regardless of what Anya does to like kind of like in the energy or the attempts of Anya will be looking back on it, but you know, frame is still vital to like in the like Anya will be also interacting with like after question only on the topic of Catholic like so like at that point I never been seeing like I never seen extremely enthusiastic and excited and happy like going on and on about like some family of like pet cats that she have that those like in other than so like everything like that must end it having maybe like so far having maybe like seven cats so on like looking at it like so like just being like the able cat like the line of the potential like going on and on was like they were looking after that everything and suddenly it's like that way it's all into China home and then was going like kind of like leaving and probably I at that point like one home and basically telling excitedly telling Lloyd that he needs that she know how to get like the support and basically the answer of them. It's like a best cat would be around the line like I never be telling Lloyd like scenarios like I'm the and it's great. And that's way like I've been doing like in like the next episode like I've been doing like Lloyd and Anya and Lloyd like heading off to like the pet shop and buying a cat a pet cat with like doing the scenario that I'm going to like for it. And that pet cat I'm still doing the president to like probably not for get along with like bond with like doing the scenario that and so the thing at that point for like Lloyd to like to pay more give more attention to like the pet cat to the new pet cat than bond with like the scenario that I'm slowly give those like emission to like and like Lloyd so much of like care and wonder and basically attention to it all to like the cat like very scenario and like won't get into that so the person like being the scenario that I'm looking over some of bring like exactly like the next day I know exactly bringing like the pet cat to head colleges instead of bond like also like getting with the now that will bring them up there. So like the new experience right now is that we got like the document creating like a point like Anya stating 10% like about like the data pointer man or like about like some recent like terms of form that we work on Slack is actually the scenario that I could about right. So yeah, interaction between like Anya and the scenario really leading to that topic is like the scenario that I'm bring and India and the bring physical events for the recent functions. So like in the projections as well as like my job in classmates in like the of like having goals in that curriculum perspective like condition about which like at present like if I begin with that error that might be aware of why Slack might be able to previous to that certainly not affection so that scripting student that like Slack like what I mentioned about like that one specific student felt like might have made to Slack like a great number of years and at that point like a like Slack might have that lead not even recognize and that might be that the actuality of that basically is like live framework. So might be the case so that we can might know Slack farm to when the gap of Slack farm to when and like the weakness of that Slack as well farm to when. So like that means that so the calling while Anya would be in like a Slack and the pointer man would be telling about like the what and Slack like I'm thinking at that point like secretly telling revealing to Anya the weakness of like the reason out of that. But pretty the man can for giving like the cat definitely my book very yes, the type of reason right now is definitely for that. It's really that president is gonna be looking for like I know that succeeding in that team for and it didn't install that finish scenario that I'm looking at thing and then here that's how maybe having like a maybe going to the anyway still the scenario where like putting that end up in the game for being not forward with that and the base of like the scenario that I'm so like the game like from Twilight like operating script mission like and the community will clear the mission ending up with like such a scenario where like little made like the entire team of like game for it being in trouble so we want to so different for all to happen in like the user were like the under different most likely like a major event or like a major festival taking place and like their college in which like the assessment would be presented that women that way I'm going to like the you can select for different targeting the select scenario that is available and the clear at that point all the students start to be presenting that even at taken by the current college and the formation that even them to different toilet that would be state saving doesn't understand about working out of that and things while Anya as well would be having her own mission that is related Anya would be like simultaneously side by side would be steadily going at that exact time to it which will be not only like the entire of like the error college will be in danger of like getting destroyed as like doing the scenario that so at that point I'm like trying to be Anya that would be just stealthy mission and strategies like I'm looking Anya like is running her way into like the saving like the entire team of like Karen college like by figuring it uh that's the scenario that happened. Right? So like that way Anya saving like the entire team like, and preventing like the entire team of like Karen college from destruction. And at that point finally Anya getting that recognition for like saving like for like purchase like the scenario that happened. And like at that point it's like between like the situation of like Anya would be most likely Anya most likely getting a great number of like from the stock like maybe like Anya being in such a situation where like getting single point from what would be resulting in less Anya getting like Anya eventually like if you are in such a situation and about different in such a situation like all this happening and like Anya saving that then from like Aaron college and like Anya getting that recognition for that effort. And at that point, I'm exploring like Anya going in there to like basically instantly being granted like the interior column title at that point by Henderson as well as land done to that like about teacher of like Aaron Colin like or to the agree to like grant like the title of like interior column to like Anya itself was like in personality and in that way like Anya's like sort of team three and then like the list of like the needed scholars of like even expecting and the same thing like in the case of Anya I don't like the photo would be of like Anya's like Anya in school uniform is let's say another that but like like rather than in when compared to what the remaining students for who might have like becoming an experience scholar and eventually graduating from the lab and college basically they have achieved things in life and basically that way they are grown up for like being trained at like the like the engineering scholar and like again college like basically compared to that like the case of Anya like Anya achievement like Anya's like act of like saving the friend that like hidden college construction will be seen as like the absolute biggest achievement and that way like I'm looking like the things are also seeing Anya as like only having achieved like something so great that like Anya's like current role at that point being friend to cannot like the list of all the remaining details from the scholars is like eventual scenario that I'm going to talk about and that way then to my different in that instance with the scenario I'm different idea then to be finding the communication so when at that point I'm also like the fact of like idea to come find the achievement of goal and becoming like imperial scholar like having no relevance at all when it comes to like the tension between Australia and Western like being gone and basically that Stanley and Western is like any like friendly terms that when it comes to that like it will be only like Anya act like it is saving like Aaron College and everyone in it including this one that will be along with like Twilight effort as well in like saving the sound as well. That alone would be that effort would be one will be only having the relevance when it comes to like the tension between that Australia and the Seattle being from like the scenario that I'm looking for it. So like they are like at that point like Anya totally being having that but also be happy that Anya also that like like my success like at that point at that realization Anya will be totally happy but like Anya at that point will be also disappointed that basically like eventually achievement of like the imperial title having has really no relevance at that point would be along the lines of that Anya would be feeling a disappointment after like they put us into the scenario that I'm